What's up, fight fans? As always, thank you for coming through. Much appreciated. Remember, hit that subscribe button if you guys are new to the channel. All right. So Eddie Hearn has had his say on Canelo's failed drug test. Obviously, Canelo failed a drug test for clenbuterol. I'd say he probably failed about 3 to 4 weeks ago. But obviously, us as fight fans, we get to know last, so it's come out now. He didn't really have much to say on it, but he did mention that Canelo's career is probably tarnished now. And that's just how it's going to be, right? He didn't say whether he believes Canelo or doesn't believe Canelo, but again, with the way boxing is right now, I think a lot of people is definitely guilty to proven innocent, and I think it's going to be hard to kind of prove that Canelo was innocent. One thing he did say, and I made a video about this a couple of months ago, I said I think all PD users should go to jail. Eddie Hearn probably took a step back from that. He said that all PD users should be arrested. Which was interesting. I don't think any promoters come out and been that stern on it, put it that way. I think all kind of promoters, you ask them, what you think about PED users, and you almost get the political response, right? That we have to go through some sort of due diligence, we need to look at each case separately, blah, blah, blah. You never get a strong answer like Eddie Hearn did. What I will say about Eddie Hearn is I don't know if there's a contradiction there. And I've kind of gone back and forth with a few people on Twitter, but for me, it's difficult for Eddie Hearn to say that when he then goes on to promote fighters that have had a PED problem in the past. And look, Matchroom, I think, are the biggest promoter in the world. So it's not just a case of him promoting fighters. It's a case of these former PED users earning good money. And when you're on a Matchroom show, you're on Sky Sports, your profile goes up. Your sponsorship money goes up, sponsors that you make outside of the boxing ring. So I feel like it's one thing saying all fighters that take PED should be arrested. It's another thing making these known PED users a living, right? I mean, you look at Kid Galahad the other day. Kid Galahad fought on the Kell-Brook-Rabchenko fight. Kid Galahad was banned for about a year, right? Povetkin's going to be earning very good money fighting on the Anthony Joshua bill, fighting David Price. Again, another PED user, Lucas Brown fighting Dylan White. Yes, I know Dylan White was, for the pre-workout, I think Jack. But again, you know what you can and can't take. So those are just 4. I bet if I go down the list, I can find a lot more. And that's where you question whether he's just talking for the sake of talking or he really wants to do something about it. And it reminds me a bit of, and I don't think this guy's done a lot. I think this guy can still do a hell of a lot more in certain cases, but it reminds me a bit of Dana White, right? A lot of people complaining about UFC fighters taking performance-enhancing drugs. So Dana White said, okay, you know what? We're going to get USADA to test our athletes. Do you know how many athletes have been popped? And not just athletes, but star names have been popped by USADA, costing the UFC multi-millions. I mean, you're looking at athletes like Alistair Overeem getting popped, who was becoming a star at the time. John Jones is the biggest one. Anderson Silva, Chael Sonnen. I mean, there's lists and lists. Chad Mendes. And you feel like this is a guy that's put his money where his mouth is and said, okay, I'll try and do something about it. And some of the star names in the UFC have been caught. Again, they could be doing a lot more. There's cases like Brock Lesnar recently fighting against Mark Hunt, but they're still doing something. And I feel like Eddie Hearn has the power to do a lot more. He has the power to do a lot more. Rather than just talk, he can implement all year-round drug testing if he really wants to. And then we'll start seeing who gets caught. Not this thing of when a fighter is in a fight or in a fighting camp that they get tested. I'm talking all year-round drug testing. And then we'll start to see where some of these cards fall. But what do you make of his statement? Let me know. And what do you think Eddie Hearn, Matchroom, Sky Sports can do about this issue we're having right now? Because I think drugs are everywhere in boxing. I've already said I think about 80% of the top fighters take them. And let's be honest, not many of the top fighters are getting caught. And if you look, like I said, if you compare it to MMA, a lot of the top fighters are getting caught. So I wonder whether or not they really want to catch some of the big boys, because some of the big boys equate to big money. And look, it's either these big boys sit on the side and earn nothing, or these big boys fight and earn Sky Sports and Matchroom and themselves loads of money. And right now, I think they'd rather take the latter.